Hello and welcome to the United Stand. It is a Skype show. It is Jose Mourinho versus Paul Pogba, part 3. We think it's part 3 because definitely in January. Did we have one in April? We certainly had one in the international break. Did we have one at the start of the season? I'll tell you what, if it's part 4, I hope it's not like Jaws the Revenge. That was 4 and that was terrible. I'm hoping if it is a trilogy, it's more Star Wars than Big Mama's House, but it keeps going. It keeps going. And my interpretation of this, for those people who want a quick recap, Mourinho, Pogba this morning, I read that has said that, it's not the players really, why they're not attacking, they're only a player. So sort of pointing it at the manager really. And then I read another quote from Mourinho that was something along the lines of, Wolves treated it like a World Cup final, we didn't. Now, is that a slight dig at Pogba, who's played a World Cup final and didn't? I don't know. It's so petty. It's so silly. There could be nothing to this, but I think we all know there is. I think there is definitely a Pogba versus Mourinho thing. And tonight, we want to establish on which side are you. As I said at lunchtime, when I was doing the derby preview, you can watch that. Drawty and a few other people I respect massively against Pogba. Some other people I respect massively against Mourinho. Some people don't know what to do. They're just really annoyed by it, that these two big figures of Manchester United clearly aren't getting on. My reading of it is going to be in a sentence because I want to know what you lot think. But my reading of it is this. When Paul Pogba is coming out and saying what he's saying about Mourinho, that to me displays total and utter confidence on Pogba's side that he can say what he bloody well likes without ramification. And that, unfortunately, to me, leads me to say that Mourinho hasn't got the dressing room and hasn't got the respect, because I was funny enough, I was speaking to DT from Arsenal Fan TV tonight, and he was saying to me that, look, there was a lot of players that were clearly unhappy under Wenger, but they never really came out and dug him out. Even though they weren't happy, they were stayed professional. But you've got Pogba, who's coming out and feeding stuff to the press while still being a Manchester United player, whilst Mourinho's still his manager. He says it's very weird. It's great to see. As an Arsenal fan, it's great to see. But it's very, very weird. And I think I would agree with that. I think that there's definitely a loss of respect there. And once a manager's lost that, I mean, Mourinho said in relation to the Wolves result, the players weren't doing what I wanted them to do. They didn't seem hungry. I see. He says this a lot, but he seems to think, I don't know what point he's trying to make there, because he's the manager. If they don't perform, it is on the manager. If the McDonald's manager, if people aren't putting the mayonnaise or the special Big Mac sauce on the burgers, that's the manager's fault. All right, the individual's messed up, but it reflects on the manager. If your profits drop, complaints go up, it's the manager. All right, you might sack those people, but the manager will get into trouble as well. So that's how it works. That is how it works. You might also want to talk about Alexis Sanchez tonight. What's the future for Alexis Sanchez? What do you feel about him? And Jamie Carragher's come out and said that Manchester United will not make the top 4. Neither will Arsenal, standard. But he said Manchester United will not make the top 4. So 3 big topics there. You might want to discuss other things as well. Skype Goldbridge is the name. Get involved. Please do smash the like button. Really want to get into this tonight. But also want to see in the live comments as well, Pogba should force Jose out, says Paper Blanket. Kylie, how many? No, that's something personal. Honestly, couldn't give a toss what Pogba has to stay until he starts playing well consistently, says Red Football Live. And £90 million down the drain. Well, maybe Pogba saying he can't play well because of Jose Mourinho. And Mourinho has lost his touch. It's time for him to leave. This happened at Chelsea too. We can't keep blaming the players all the time. His methods are waning, says Tyrone Williams. That is an interesting point, because when it comes to Jose Mourinho and what happened at Chelsea, let's not forget that at Chelsea, Mourinho left and the team started playing well again. But that happens with a lot of managers. Ben, can you hear me?
Right, Mark, you okay?
I'm good, thanks. I'm going to ask you the first question, then you can chuck into whatever you want. But on this Pogba, Mourinho, whatever part it is, it keeps coming up. I was very surprised last night to see what Pogba had said. I thought, surely we're not going to have this again. And it's popped up very quickly. What are your thoughts on it and where do you sit?
Mark, it's petty. It's absolutely freaking petty. I just don't understand. It's back and forth. We both know they've got a problem. I mean, why can't this happen behind closed doors? Why does Pogba feel the need to come out and say certain things? I mean, Pogba is right. I mean, something Mourinho said, he doesn't help himself. Like, he just does not help himself. I just feel, get one of them out of the club. One of them needs to go this summer. If they both go, well, that's going to be a huge loss. But one of them have to go, Mark. It's just absolutely petty behaviour. Why are we doing this? Mark, it makes no sense. I feel someone upstairs needs to say, guys, like, stop this shit out. Like, focus on football. We're playing shit football. Focus on the football. Don't worry about comments back and forth. You're both getting paid great money. Like, we need to focus on the football, Mark. I'm tired of all this petty behaviour. It's nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense.
I'll tell you what I did like about what you said in the first sentence, because I agree with you on this, and that is what you've said there. Why is it being done publicly? I mean, it's great for us as fans because it gives us... well, it's good and bad. We know, I think I agree with Pogba, what he said. I do think it comes from the training ground, why we're not attacking. I mean, hopefully tomorrow night against Derby, we will treat it as a home game and not an away game like we did against Wolves, because it was shocking how much we sat back and invited pressure. But so I agree with Pogba about that. But what is difficult, I suppose, is that it puts focus onto our club. Do you definitely think there's an issue between Pogba and Mourinho? Because there's still people I read on social media saying there's clearly not an issue. And for me, it's as clear as day, because it has, it's not the first time. It keeps happening.
Mark, we all know there's an issue. I mean, it just makes no sense. Number one, I don't know why it's coming out in the papers. I mean, there must be an issue. The things Pogba says, the things Mourinho says, there's definitely an issue. But they both want to be bigger than they are. I mean, they could have an issue, address it behind closed doors, but I don't believe no one says there's no issue. There is an issue. The thing Pogba said, I heard what Mourinho said about the Wolves play like a World Cup final. That's a dig at Pogba. He's basically saying, well, you can perform in a World Cup final for real, but at this Mark, there's a problem. Whoever can't see it is obviously blind to see, but there's a massive problem, and something needs to get sorted out, because our football is terrible right now, or one bad game, sorry, but football is not the best. So focus on the football. Don't worry about the bad stuff. Let's focus on the football, Mark.
What do you think? Two questions for you. What do you think Pogba's end game here? Because he's being very brash. He obviously doesn't fear being dropped. He's not afraid to say, like he did after Leicester, I can't really say what I want to say, or I'll get fined. What's he said last night? He said, I'm only a player. I want to attack, but I'm a player. It's not down to me. Pointing the finger at Mourinho, whether people like that or not. What do you think Pogba's end game is? Do you think he wants Mourinho out, or do you think he wants out?
I think Pogba's forcing a move. Maybe. I mean, maybe he can't do it playing excellent football. Maybe Raiola told him you need to play some good football so Barcelona can want you even more. Or something. But I think maybe he's going to say certain things to let people think I don't like the club or I don't like Mourinho. Then I think the board will say not fuck, or my language. The board might say not forget about it. You have to go. So maybe it's forcing a move. I mean, everything he said is right. We are playing dreadful football. Like I told you a couple weeks ago, everyone got carried away beating Burnley and Watford. But I'm telling you, when push comes to shove, we're playing dire football. We're playing absolutely shocking football. Wolves have probably had, I think it was the fourth highest shot in the Premier League. I don't want to check where United are. I don't even want to check. I know we're on the top 15 clubs having the most shots. So our football is pathetic. So I honestly think when Pogba is talking sense, but I think he's saying these things to get moved. Like, it's the second time he said something. You don't hear Sane saying this or great. It doesn't make sense. Like, why is Pogba for the need to come and say things time and time after again? I mean, I think maybe Mark is forced to move. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting because if he's trying to force a move, for everybody who's backing Pogba, that sort of, will be a sort of thorn in the side, won't it? Because he's forcing a move out of the club, and maybe we should be backing Mourinho because he wants to be here. But then it's complicated by the fact that what Pogba's saying is actually true, and the football isn't good enough under Mourinho. So it's a very... That's part of the reason we've done the show, really, because it's very, very difficult. I mean, as of this moment, if Edward would rang you up and said, Ben, I'm getting rid of one, it's Pogba or Mourinho, which would you get rid of?
I think it's got to be Mourinho, Mark. I mean, like I said, I've told you before, Mourinho's tactics are a bit outdated. I mean, like I said, Pogba is our star player. Like, we've seen what Pogba do against young boys. Like, Pogba is a star player. You get rid of the manager. He is playing dire football. Take Pogba out of the club. You'll blame McTominay. I mean, you got to blame the manager. As much as Pogba's talking shit, he's not pulling his weight. But the manager is the problem here, Mark, playing dire, sideways football. And I did want to ask you, because you had a game on Saturday. Obviously, I watched the Watford game. Fellaini and Lindelof. Was Lindelof that bad? Like, I didn't watch the game. I just watched Match of the Day. Was Lindelof that bad? Because I don't understand why Lindelof's playing. If we need a babysitter, why isn't Bailly playing? So was Lindelof that bad, or was it just?
I just think Lindelof needs a babysitter. I think you hit the nail on the head there. I watched that game, and especially in the first half, Fellaini was basically a centre back. And I said to Jared, because Jared was at the game with me, and I said, we're basically playing a 3-5-2, but the fullbacks aren't pushing forward enough to be a 3-5-2. We're almost a 5-3-2 at home. And Fellaini was just within 10 yards of Lindelof all the time. I don't know why. I agree with you. I don't know why Bay's not playing. It makes no sense. He's our best centre-back. And it's funny enough, as I said before, I was talking to DT from Arsenal Fan TV today. and he said, I love Bailly to come. Your best centre-back, put him at the back with our Socrates. We've got a really good centre-back partnership. And I said, this is it for me. This is when rivals are saying, we'll take Martial, we'll take Bailly, we'll take Pogba, keep Mourinho, keep Fellaini forever. That's we as United fans can say what we like. But when rivals are saying that, that's the biggest critique I think there is.
Of course. Like I said, something is missing at the club. Like I said, I'm going to the game against Valencia, and I know it's going to be a hard game. But I mean, something is missing. Like you said in your fan cab, something is missing, Mark, and we need to find it sooner rather than later because we keep having these performances. One good game, we're on top. Then it's just let's have at least 2 games, play 90 minutes attacking football. That's all we want, Mark. I don't care if we lose games. I don't care if we finish 10th. Just play 2 good games, playing attacking football. The fans will be happy, Mark. But I mean, that's what I've got to say right now. Let's just hope for the best against Derby and obviously Valencia and take it from there, Mark.
It's a really good call, Ben. Thanks for opening the show.
No problem, Mark. You're welcome.
I'll be interested to see your thoughts after the Valencia game for sure.
No problem, Mark. Probably do a fan cam. But all right, Mark, take care.
Cheers, pal. Thank you.
You're welcome. Cheers, bye.
He's probably gone now. But yes, definitely get over to Flex, Ben, because you've been on the Skype show a few times. Get over to Flex and have your say. So there you go. Ben says he would go with Mourinho. Sorry, he would go with Pogba if he had to make the choice at the moment. But there is that danger. Although Pogba clearly is talking sense to a lot of people because the football isn't good enough, what if he's doing it because he wants a move? Paul Robinson says if we don't attack against Derby, what happens then? I think it's an interesting situation, Paul. I'm very much looking forward to the game against Derby, I must say, because I know that they will play football. And I'm hoping that we will play some of our fringe players and they will step up and take the opportunity. But it's going to be interesting to see. George, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, mate. How you doing? All right?
Yeah, good. Yourself?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm very good, but from a Manchester United point of view, I think it's not where I wanted to be this Skype show. I thought 3 points against Wolves was what we needed to get. We didn't get it, and having been at the game, and I think anyone who saw it on the telly will understand why we didn't get it, because we didn't deserve it. But what did you want to talk about, or do you want to go straight into the Pogba versus Mourinho thing?
Well, I'll say what I want to say, and then I'll come back to your point on Pogba versus Mourinho. What I was going to say was, how crazy is the fact that Scott McTominay embarrassed himself all through the pre-season tour. He embarrassed himself versus the little cameo he got a couple of games ago. Yet Pereira still doesn't get on the bench over him. He got on the bench a couple of days ago because Matic got a red card. Yeah,
it's an interesting thing. I mean, I personally thought, Pereira did give a cross away and they nearly scored from the break, and I thought, oh, that's it. He's out for 5 games now. Mourinho won't forget that. But I don't understand that. I tweeted this out today, half joking, that for all those people who want Pogba at the club, you better be prepared for a Matic, McTominay and Fellaini midfield when he's gone, because that's basically what Jose... And I said it on the preview today, I think that we'll see Fellaini and Matic playing against West Ham, and no wonder Pogba struggles when he's got players like that next to him. Jose's got an obsession. We saw it last season with height. Height, static, slow midfielders is what he likes, and that's probably why Pogba said what he said, because I was at the game on Saturday, and Pogba does give the ball away. He does, because he's got nobody around him most of the time.
Well, I think it all comes back to the same point. Every club he's ever been to, he goes with players he trusts. He goes with players he trusts over a player who we all know has got talent.
Definitely. Just quickly, because there are a couple of other topics I want to talk about, but Jamie Carragher says United won't finish in the top 4 this season. Is he right? I mean, we don't like Jamie Carragher being right, but is he right on that? Are you concerned about that?
It is something I think we'll all get. Every United fan, everyone on the United stand is going to definitely think about over the next couple of months. Are we actually going to finish 4th? It's a show you can have a debate with everyone about, but I honestly can see us just scraping it, and the Glazers is spending a lot of money next window.
No, I do agree with you. I said it's. I do think we can get top 4, and the reason I think we can get top 4 is because we got second last year playing this brand of football. So why can't we do it again? Even if people improve, it's all about grinding.
Well, the reason why we can't do the same thing that we did last year is because every Premier League, except from Spurs, because they don't like to spend money, every Premier League side has improved this year dramatically. I'm
just hoping that Spurs will drop out, like you say. Arsenal, perennial 6th now, and we can slip into that 4th place. But I certainly don't. I'd agree Chelsea, Liverpool and City, better footballing teams, may well finish above us. But just I'll bring in the Mourinho Pogba thing in here, because I did say today that it's funny how even I fall into this trap, that I think the only way Mourinho saves this position is to get United playing good football. We've seen glimpses, but the next 6 weeks are massive for United. When you look at the games, we've got more. I think City fall into that in about 6 weeks' time. 2 against Juventus, Valencia, Chelsea, West Ham at the weekend. We've got to win a lot of those games, and we are hoping that a manager for the last 16 years, who's built his reputation on being very defensive and well organised, we're hoping we're putting 16 years of knowledge about Mourinho and hoping he's going to change it in 6 weeks. When I thought about that this afternoon, it's a pretty big ask to hope that this is going to turn around, and a lot of people just think it's not going to. We're going to get a couple of wins, then a loss, couple of wins, then a loss, and that's what we're going to have.
Well, if you ask me, I think it's the same sort of thing that happens with Mourinho. His job will be threatened, like when Spurs, and then he'll come out and play a really good side. Like, I can't remember the game straight after, but the game after he played a side that everyone wanted to see. He'll do what the club needs him to do when his job's under pressure.
Yeah, definitely.
Because he's so stubborn. He's so stubborn that he can't get it around his head that the defensive football hasn't worked for like the last 5 years.
And if you had to I'll ask you that question just before you go, Mourinho or Pogba? I mean, certainly give us a reason why you'd go for each. But if that call came into, he's rang Ben. Ben says get Mourinho out. I'll keep Pogba. What would you do if Ed made a call after you and said, look?
At the moment, I think I'd actually pick Pogba, because if you listen to the stuff he's saying, he's not taking digs at anyone. Yes, everyone knows his agent's a degenerate. Everyone knows that. He's screwed United over how many times, but like if you actually listen to what Pogba's saying or what he's supposedly been saying, because none of it's confirmed, he's saying, we should attack more. Sanchez, it's all positive, it's all like enthusiastic, it's all trying to bring the team together. It's not all negative.
No, look, very, very good call yet again, George, and please do call in again. I can't jump in and say I disagree with anything, because it's your opinion and you put it across really well. So thanks for calling in, pal.
All right, see you later.
Cheers,
Love
pal.
everything you do with the channel.
Thank you, mate.
It's
Very interesting calls so far. I just want to read this at this point, because I want to read some live comments, but this is... Where is it? So... He couldn't. I tried to get him on the show tonight, but he couldn't. But it was Drawty was saying, Sir Alex Ferguson once had a player called David Beckham, loved by the fans and a brilliant player, but Beck's focused on his image, and so Fergie swung the axe and replaced him with a young lad called Ronaldo. No player is bigger than the club. No one. And that was his thought on Pogba. Fans go bananas after one great performance and hail all haters as not United fans. He's been a complete virus to the club and a sign of the change in focus in the dressing room. I miss Roy Keane. Is it wrong that Pogba irritates the hell out of me, lets his agent talk shite about the club, drops constant 2 out of 10 performances every other game, is first on social media after one win, then goes back to being average, haircuts, stupid dancing and zero focus? I mean, that's the other side. That's the other side. And it's very important to get the other side, because I can see both sides. I can see both sides. I've had my opinion, but I can see both sides. Dan, the man, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on, Mark?
I'm good, thanks. You? And I just want to say thanks very much. Dan was on the watch-along on Saturday, so I could go to the Wolves game with Marcus. So big shout-out for him. That's a very, very good show. Hope you're well, pal. And, what do you want to talk about first? Because I have got questions, but if there's something that's on your mind that you want to get off your chest first, the floor is yours.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure to do the live stream with Marcus. And, I wish you could have came back with 3 points in your pocket, but it just wasn't to be. I actually want to touch on what Girardi had to say about Beckham and Sir Alex. The only difference for me with that and the Pogba and Mourinho thing is Sir Alex had a body of work. He had already won a treble. He had won the league multiple times with this club. Mourinho's done nothing with this club. I mean, let's call it what it is. They won a weak Europa League. They finished second. They finished sixth. This year, probably not going to make the top four. Lost an FA Cup final. So to me, if it's keeping a player or keeping a manager, I back the club. I don't back the manager or a player. I'm a grown man. I'm not going to sit behind and get pumped up by a 20-something-year-old midfielder, and I'm not going to sit there and support a 50-something-year-old manager. He's a grown man. I just want what's best for the club, but I think what's best for the club is Mourinho doesn't have the body of work with us to justify keeping him on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a quote somewhere about when two irresistible forces come together, which side do you pick? And I'd say the problem is, at the moment, these two things that we're talking about, Mourinho and Pogba, I like what you said there about the body of work. They're, in some ways, you'd say they are two very resistible forces because, yeah, I agree with what Pogba said about the style of football. Very easy to say that. It's the weak spot of Mourinho. But I also sort of agree with the people who say, well, if Pogba wants to go, let him go. What has he really done that much in a Manchester United shirt? And again, I agree with you in relation to Mourinho. There's not a great body of work behind him either. So, it's the lesser of two evils in some way. And I'm not calling them evils. It's just a saying. And when it's Beckham against Sir Alex, you're right. You've got Beckham, one of the best number sevens we ever had. Sir Alex Ferguson, with what he'd done, obviously everyone went with Sir Alex because I think you should always go with the manager. And I suppose that in itself, Daniel, is quite an interesting angle that we're even having this conversation. It sort of goes back to what I said at the start. To me, it's abundantly clear that, well, it's not abundantly clear, it's just my opinion, that for Pogba to keep saying this sort of thing, he's in a very comfortable position. He obviously doesn't think he's going to get chucked into the reserves for 6 months. He obviously doesn't, fear that. And he obviously knows that he can say what he likes and he ain't going to get any real problems. I mean, he's still been made captain twice this season and we've barely played 10 games. So he's saying these things about the manager, but he clearly doesn't worry. And that, for me, means that he's that there is a lack of control from Mourinho around the club because a manager should have control. And if a player speaks out about his style, they should be getting ramifications from that.
Yeah, well, I look no further than the example of Schweinsteiger, a guy who's won a World Cup, absolute club legend over at Bayern, comes here with Van Gaal, didn't really have a great season with him, stuck in the reserves by Mourinho, didn't say anything against him, done nothing but put his head down, work, come back. He had a little cameo before they sent him away. Pogba's been the exact opposite. He won the World Cup with France, but pretty much he's been against everything Mourinho's had to say from middle of last season till now, and he keeps picking him. So it just shows you that the player power is stronger than the power of the manager. And totally agree with what you said to start the show is he's lost the dressing room. They're out there to get paid. They're not out there to play for the manager. It's pretty clear.
I think there is a hypocrisy there. I mean, I just must just say this as well. There is a hypocrisy there, and I think the Schweinsteiger example is very good. I also think Eric Bailly, there's clearly an issue there, and Mourinho doesn't have a problem dropping him. For me, he's our best centre-back, and he's not getting a look in. So I think Mourinho will come down hard on some players, so it's interesting that he won't do it with Pogba. It might be something to do with the fact that Paul Pogba is the most marketable footballer in world football, and money speaks volumes to Manchester United, and Pogba knows that. He's in a strong position. But I think when you have a player who's in a stronger position than a manager, whether he's right or wrong, something's got to give, because it's not good. Go back to what you said, that's not good for the club. Whether Pogba's right or not, it's not good for the club, it's not good for the fans when a player is undermining the manager, whether they're right or not. Right.
No, yeah, totally. I'm just worried about the rest of the season, but I think what needs to happen is just kind of, I think the club's just going to have to sit this one out this year, take its losses, and they will take losses financially because, even in the States now, the televised games are Liverpool games. United is starting to, they're appearing on the NBC Sports app. They're not even on NBC Sports anymore. We're getting Liverpool. Yeah, so I think giving him more money in January is not going to help. Sacking him in January is not going to help, or even before. I think you just got to let the season play out. You go into the summer, you sack him, see how far he could get. It's not going to be a title, so it's title or bust for me, or Champions League, which isn't going to happen either. And then you get a fresh slate with a manager who could have a whole summer, more money to spend and do things his way. So I just think that it's the long goodbye. It's starting to feel a lot like Van Gaal's second season, where he's going to go. There's nowhere for the club to go. And you almost don't even look forward to the games being on because it's just going to it's going to put you half to sleep or infuriate you.
I tell you what, we saw it in the summer with the Liverpool thing. America's starting to turn towards Liverpool, and that's we've only got ourselves to blame on that. I mean, part of the problem for me, and part of the problem for a lot of fans, was the signing of Sanchez. Mourinho did do that. It disrupted Pogba, it disrupted Martial, it disrupted Rashford, it disrupted Lingard. He was shocking. I saw it firsthand on Saturday. He is shocking for what we're paying him. He's, yes, I do sympathise with Sanchez. I think for whatever anybody said about Arsenal under Wenger, Arsenal are a better footballing side than Manchester United under Wenger. They always have been. Comparing Mourinho's United to Arsenal's, not Sir Alex's, obviously. They're just crap at the back, Arsenal. That's why they falter. But their football was a lot quicker. So I can sympathise with Sanchez that the football's very slow under United, because it is, and that would be a problem to adjust to. And I think Pogba himself alluded to that in his interview. But Sanchez, what are your thoughts on him? Is that, how does that resolve itself? I mean, it's almost as big a problem as Pogba and Mourinho, because this is the best paid player in the Premier League who plays most games, has to play most games really, but he just seems to be getting worse.
Yeah, I'd say he's probably even a bigger problem than Pogba, because he's ineffective himself, and he's basically ruled 4 players ineffective by him being here. Like you said, Lingard's regressed since he's come. Rashford and Martial not getting the same chances, and he's not playing up to his capability. So really, that's 3 players plus himself that have just taken themselves totally out of the equation. And with another manager, I don't even think they'll get the best out of him either, because now he's 30, so he's going to be on the wrong side of 30 come next season. I think you just got to cut your losses on that one and send him back to Spain or Serie A. I know he started with Udinese when he first came to Europe, so something needs to change, but he's not the answer. And you're going to be spending that type of money week in and week out on a player who does nothing. And I can't tell you how sick I am of there was a fan cam, and not to get on the person who was on the fan cam, but he was saying Sanchez wasn't that bad. At least he's trying. Like, it's got to stop. At least he's trying. It's not good enough. Just because you run around doesn't mean you're doing anything. You know what I mean? You could drive in a circle for 300 miles. Doesn't mean you're getting anywhere. So he's got to start producing, and it needs to be dropped, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. Anyway, Dan, thanks for calling in, mate, and no doubt we'll be speaking again very soon. But as I say, cheers again for Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. You got it, pal. Take care.
You too, mate. And just on what Dan was saying there, I totally agree. And obviously wasn't my fan cam he was watching, because in my fan cam, if you haven't seen it, do give it a watch. I did say that I saw a lot of people in Old Trafford applauding Sanchez just for keep making a pass. He's lowered expectations so low now that people think he puts in a good performance when he doesn't put a bad performance in. Best paid player in the Premier League, fact. Whatever it is, whether it's $500,000, 350 grand, he is the best paid player in the Premier League. He said it himself. I'm very proud of that. So that is unacceptable what he's doing. But, the trouble with Sanchez is, I wouldn't disagree with the fact that, I don't know whether I said it last night, but name me a Manchester United player who after 8 months as a new signing became good. When you've been bad for 8 months, I think the groove is there. The groove is in the hole, and that we're stuck with it. But even if we wanted to get rid of him, going back to what I just said there, how do you get rid of Alexis Sanchez without taking a huge financial loss? Which Manchester United, the best business club in the world, are they going to want to do that? I think they'll just keep flogging a dead horse. I think they're going to keep playing Sanchez, praying he comes good. And that is quite frustrating, because we're just going to keep seeing him, because nobody's going to take a flop Alexis Sanchez and give him the money we're giving him. So we're stuck with him. We are stuck with Alexis Sanchez. And I think the only hope for Sanchez is that the football becomes about 20% quicker, which is what Pogba wants. It's what we want. It's whether Mourinho can deliver that or whether he's got to go and the next manager can deliver it. Because I certainly think we can get more out of Sanchez, but the football's too slow. It's way too slow. There's too many sideways passes, and this is coming from the training ground. It's too slow, it's too structured. It needs to be more risk averse, and it needs to be quicker. And I think we will get the best out of Sanchez then. Whether that best is ever going to be good enough, I don't know. Right, how much money have we wasted on flops? It's depressing, says the Phil6688. I think we've spent $500 million since Sir Alex Ferguson went, and you'll struggle to find a good signing. Luke Skywalker, I want Sanchez to leave United, but how will that happen? 400k a week. What club will pay that salary? Only United, who can't make business at all. Exactly, Luke. I agree with you on that one. In fact, I think I just said that as well. So thanks for the contribution, pal. It's a very, very interesting situation for Manchester United, and I think the brilliance of this show tonight, and the brilliance of all you lot, really, is that I can see both sides with this. I can see both sides, not just on the Sanchez thing, but certainly on the Mourinho Pogba thing. That my heart says that you should always back the manager. That there should not be dissent in the ranks. There shouldn't be mutiny on the bounty. And whether Pogba's right or not, publicly putting things out there like he has been for over 6 weeks, it just displays that the manager has lost control. And it also displays that Pogba doesn't really care, because Pogba knows he's in a strong position, which he is. But when you put Manchester United first, like Dan says, we've got a player who isn't scared about publicly speaking against the manager. We've got a manager who appears to be scared to discipline that player for it, whether that would be right or wrong. And we've got a player who's actually speaking the truth. And we've got a board that God knows what they're thinking. So it's a very weird situation. You could easily come down on both sides. As I said, you could be somebody who says Pogba's a disgrace for doing it, or you could be somebody who says Pogba's wrong for doing it, but he's right what he's saying. Or you could be somebody who says Pogba's right and Mourinho needs to go. There's so many different opinions, and that's the interesting thing for me. Forget all this Pogba Mourinho rubbish. How is our football? How are the performances? Rubbish. Mourinho out, says Paul Robinson. Man United will go nowhere with the current style of football, says Zana Uthman. Falcao, another one, as I really rated him. We signed him, says Andrew Ellis. Do you think Manchester United has a good enough squad to play attacking football, says FIFA for Life Unknown? I personally do. I personally do think we have, but it's whether we will. It's not whether we do have. I think we do have the players to do it, but I just think that we are struggling a little bit at the moment with I think people who are pro Mourinho are saying, well, there's signs of good football, but we are year 3. I'll just keep saying we're year 3. I find it very difficult as a fan myself. Part of me is sort of sympathetic, and part of me is like, it's year 3. MJ, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly, mate. How you doing? All right?
Yeah, I'm fine, mate. How are you?
Yeah,
First time caller.
First time caller. There you go. Then, what was it you wanted to talk about?
I don't think anyone's really brought up this point about the right wing. We have no real right winger, and I was looking forward to that in the summertime. Like a Bay or a Dembele or a Perisic or someone like that coming in. There was no sort of winger coming in, and now you got like basically Valencia going forward. He don't cross the ball in. He just smashes it in the box and or does like a long one over the top, and he just can't cross the ball. I don't think he's crossed the ball good since like 2010. Like,
you're probably not wrong with that. You're probably not wrong. It's interesting though, because obviously Mad Marcus does the watch-alongs with me, and I remember a couple of years ago doing watch-alongs, and he used to always be saying, we never go down the left, it's everything down the right. And this season especially, I mean, I remember the Leicester game, that Ben Chilwell, left back, absolutely annihilated us. Brighton, they got down the right-hand side. You're right. Literally, the right-hand side for United has become a huge problem. Not just Valencia. I also feel that what Dan says is right. Lingard had that brilliant month in January, but everyone always says Sanchez ruined Pogba and Martial. I also think that Lingard has suffered a lot from that, because he's, I think Lingard gets away with it because he's, Mr. Manchester United. He's the face of it. He's very good at the marketing. He's a local lad. He's very likeable. But Lingard's not been great either recently, and he's on that right-hand side. Matt has been shocking there. And I think you're spot on. The right-hand side is a mess.
Oh, Matt can't catch a bus, mate. You watch him try and run around the player. He can't do it. He ain't got the pace. He ain't got the legs. It's terrible. Lingard should be playing sort of cam, not really on the right. If you look as well from the left-hand side, we've got Sanchez, but we're lucky that we got Shaw come back. But then he needs to learn how to cross a ball as well, because his crosses haven't been too good. But at least he adds that attackiness. He will run at a player, unlike Valencia on the right.
It's interesting on the right-hand side. So, we can't buy anyone till January. We've got loads of games between now and Christmas. So we've got to go with what we've got. And it, I agree with what you say. And obviously I have agreed with it. But, it's very easy for us to be critical of it because it isn't working. But let's find the solution with what we've got. I'd say with you, Mata can't play that right-hand side. He's too slow. Lingard's not performing well. Valencia's not performing well. Well, we've seen a lot. I think a lot of people would say, yeah, give him a chance. But the obvious thing for me, and I don't know whether you agree, is he's played there before. He's done it for Barcelona. He does work very hard. He is quite fast. He does track back. He is right-footed. I can't believe we've never tried or used Alexis Sanchez on the right, because then we could play Martial on the left. To me, it's the obvious solution to the right-hand side. Dalot and Sanchez.
Yeah, he's played there before, but I think Mourinho is pretty like a lot of the other managers we've had as well. He listens to the player and what position he wants to play. And Sanchez has said time and time again he likes to play from the left-hand side. He will not play on the right. Obviously, earlier in his career, he had to do sort of what he was told, but now he's like an older head. I think Mourinho's just going to give him what he wants.
Yeah, I would. I think he's spot on again. I mean, but as I said, that's what I would do. I would put Sanchez on the right because then you can play Martial instead. I don't. Maybe Martial could play on the right, but I don't. I think he's going to stick with Lingard, and I don't think
Martial was shocking when he was on the right hand side for that one game. He actually moved over to the left in the end. He just looked lost on the right. As soon as he went back to the left hand side, he was trying a little trick or two, and he seemed a different player, but he still was having a pretty bad game. So, I mean, I think he needs like a run of games in the side as well.
Hopefully
take Sanchez out and put Martial in for a while.
Yeah, hopefully he'll play against Derby. I just want to ask you this before you go. Carragher, obviously United fans love Carragher, but he said that Arsenal and United will finish out the top four. I agree with him on Arsenal. I mean, it's not hard, is it? Anyone can do that.
Yeah.
But United outside the top four.
He should have been sacked a long time ago. He should have been sacked a long time ago when he was spitting at someone or something. That incident went on. But yeah, top four. Yeah, I kind of feel numb about this season. If I'm completely honest, I think we are probably just about going to scrape the top four.
Yeah, well, you're the second person I've asked that tonight. I asked George of it as well, and he said the same. And I certainly think the same. And I'll have a look at the live comments when you've gone. But I do think we'll get top four. I mean, we've got to start winning some games. It's a big 6 weeks, but I do think we'll have enough to get top four because I think you're right. Even if you say Chelsea, Liverpool and Liverpool and City are better than us, I think Spurs and Arsenal are there to be got at, and they will drop points. But with that final question, if we do finish fourth, is that in year 3? Is that time for Mourinho to go, or would you give him another year?
No, that's not good enough. We've gone backwards now. The first year was good. Second year, okay. Second, we weren't. It was an unbelievable year for City. We weren't going to catch them. But third year, we're looking. I don't know. I don't really think it's his fault. I think it's more the board's fault and not investing in the squad. But he's got to work with what he's got, and it's not working well right now. So, I mean, go to the end, see what happens, and then if it's not good enough, then we're going to have to try again with a new manager, a new investment into the squad, and hopefully we'll come back stronger.
Great call, MJ. First time caller as well. Big up in the live comments, and thanks for calling in, pal, and please do it again.
All right, thank you very much, mate.
No worries, pal. You take care.
Yeah, you too.
And also, there was something that just dropped into my head then about what was I going to say? Mourinho wasn't backed in the summer, and that will always be something that, whatever you think about him, wasn't right. If they weren't going to back him in the summer, they should have sacked him in the summer. I'm a firm believer in that. You back the manager or you sack them, and whether you are Mourinho out or not, I think most of you would agree with that. That if he is going to be kept here, back him. You can't do half a job. We're Manchester United at the end of the day. So, yes, that's spot on. But we are where we are, and we've got more than enough players to be doing better than we actually are at the moment. Make sure you drop a like on the video. It is Skype Goldbridge every Monday night. We sometimes do a Thursday as well, depending if it's international breaks and stuff, but always on a Monday night at 8 o'clock, and some very, very good comments. Please do drop a like. It's the most important show to drop a like on the video, really, because it's your fellow United standers calling in and having their say. And there's been some really, really good calls tonight so far. Red or Dead Kavanagh says, all these ex-Liverpool pundits are all a big joke. The glee in their face is laughable. I always expected a back seat for a while after Sir Alex Ferguson left. I think it's very funny. I think it's very funny because Steve Nicholls, another one, he used to play for Liverpool in the 80s. I couldn't stand him then, and I can't stand his opinions now. But he talks like he's got an inside knowledge of United. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. It's always outlandish, stupid stuff as well. And how the hell would you know anything about bloody Manchester United? You're a Liverpool player. You're an ex-Liverpool player from the 80s. As if you know what's going to happen at United. You know nothing. You know absolutely nothing. But they get bloody... space, don't they? They get paper space is what I was trying to say somehow. Kieran, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
How you doing, pal?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Yeah, I'll be honest. The Pogba thing is really frustrating me, to be honest. I find myself defending Mourinho here, and but I do think Mourinho is right in this. That Pogba, I just think he has to leave. And I mean, I just like, what point do we get to where Pogba's position becomes untenable at United? I don't understand it. I mean, how much leeway are we going to give Pogba? I mean, not only do I think he's forcing a transfer out, I think he's bringing the dressing room into disrepute. I think Mourinho is trying his best to help the situation. I mean, his comments in the media, I mean, Pogba is just destroying him. He's absolutely destroying Mourinho. And I mean, I saw Jonathan Traeger's tweet today. He said, if Pogba done as much tracking back as he does talking, everyone would be all right in this situation. But I mean, Pogba, you're right. Pogba does have the power here, and I mean, the first caller is right. Someone does have to go, Mourinho or Pogba, and I have to say, Mourinho has to stay in front ahead of Pogba. Mourinho didn't get what he wanted in the summer. We didn't get a right winger that is badly needed. Look at Sir Alex and what he did with Roy Keane, one of the best midfielders of his generation. He got rid of him over contract talks. So, I mean, the Alexis Sanchez thing as well.
Well, actually, just jump in there because some people won't be old enough to remember this. But Roy Keane actually was got rid of for doing a video on MUTV after a loss to Sunderland, where he said some of the youngsters, I think like Kieran Richardson was one of them, they think they've made it. They're an embarrassment. You know, basically saying they're not putting the effort in. They're driving around in these cars thinking they've made it, and they need to work harder. And Sir Alex Ferguson got rid of him because he didn't like the fact that he'd taken a pop at, sort of undermined him in the dressing room. So you look at what Pogba's done over the last few months and you think, well, if you can get rid of one of the best players we've ever had for those sort of comments, what the hell is going on? I just want to ask you as well, I mean, Pogba's come out this time and said, it's not the players, it's, we can all read, it's basically pointing the finger at the coaching staff for the way we're playing football and we're not attacking. Now, I agree with Pogba on that. I do. I don't know whether you do, but I agree with his comments. Yeah. I just don't think they should be out there because it does undermine the manager.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's acting like he's the manager, Pogba. I often wonder about the relationship between Pogba and Mourinho, especially recently. I mean, I actually thought Pogba lived in the Lowry as well. I thought he would be near Mourinho and things like that, but he mustn't be. I could be wrong. And like I say, Mourinho is trying to help the situation. In the press, whenever he's asked about Pogba, he speaks glowingly of him.
This season he does, really, right. I think last season there was a bit, and over the summer a little bit, but this season I think he's bent over backwards, giving him the captaincy twice. Yeah,
well, after his comments about obviously the World Cup and things like that, he has sort of backed him. Eric Bailly was mentioned earlier. I do think there was an Instagram picture a few weeks ago of Pogba, Martial, Bailly, Lindelof and Fosu Mensah all in the one picture, and I'm wondering, is there a bit of mutiny going on? I saw a tweet, someone saying that there could be mutiny, and maybe, I mean, I don't understand why he's being dropped either. I know he made a few mistakes a few weeks ago. Was it Brighton? But I mean, against Leicester, he was man of the match. Him and Shaw. I mean, Lindelof's form obviously has been in question too. Fosa Mensah's obviously in Fulham. I mean, Martial, he has to be playing for me now. He really does. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, because I think from previous calls you were, I don't want to put words into your mouth because maybe I got it wrong, but weren't you Mourinho sort of out before?
Yeah, and like I still am, but I just think what Pogba's done is actually worse. I think Pogba has to go in January. I mean, I'm a little bit on the fence with Mourinho, but at the end of the season, I think he has to go. But I think Pogba has to go in January. I mean, I saw a tweet from someone saying, train Pogba with the reserves and get rid of him in January. That's how strongly I think about it. So, yeah, I do.
Tell you what, I really appreciate the call because you're the one who's been the one call that's been totally, sort of strong on what Pogba's done, and we've had a brilliant show because we've had so many different opinions. So I really do appreciate it. And again, I can't. It's not where I stand, but this show's not really about that. But I do totally understand where you're coming from, and you're certainly not in the minority. As I said, a lot of people I know have said exactly the same. I mean, Draughty Devil called Pogba a disease today, and that's the danger, isn't it? I think what he's saying in public is probably right. The football's not good enough, but for what's Pogba's motive behind it? Is it a love for Manchester United, or is it a motivation to get away from United? And I'd agree with you as well that he certainly knows that he's in charge. He is in charge at the moment. No, I can't think of a player that's ever done this so vocally so many times. And we're only in the middle of September, and the first game of the season he captained, scored the goal, scored the penalty, and then made the comment that I can't say what I really want to say or something like that because I'll get fined. And that was like, what? You've just captained us, played well and scored a goal, and then you throw in the manager or the club under the bus in a way. Very weird.
Yeah, I mean, I find it really weird too. I don't get it, and obviously we don't know what's going on behind the scenes between the two of them. They could be in contact. We just don't know what goes on, and I mean, I'd love to know. I mean, are they in contact at all? I mean, Pogba's came out again questioning it, so I think, like you say, something's got to give in the next few months.
Thanks for the call, Kieran. Really good one, and I know you will call in again, so thanks very much, mate.
Cheers, thank you.
And yes, I mean, look, what a show. Somebody said to me today, oh, you're talking about Mourinho and Pogba again. Well, I don't want to talk about Mourinho and Pogba. We don't want to be talking Mourinho and Pogba. None of us do. And, I say we and me, meaning the collective me and we, which is the United stand. We don't want to be talking about it. I joked at the start, what round is this? What film is this? Is it Mourinho versus Pogba part 4? I don't know. I've sort of lost count, but definitely... Look, you can't ignore when it comes out late last night that Pogba has said what he said. That, we want to play attacking football, but I'm just a player. Really pointing the finger at the manager. And then Mourinho, I don't know, you could read it a couple of ways when he says, Wolves treated it like a World Cup final, we didn't. Is that a little dig at somebody who played in the World Cup final, or is it just a turn of phrase? But that's the situation we're in now. But I certainly do think that the where you make your mind up, and I'm not going to give you either way because Kieran said Pogba needs to go. Some people have said I'm with Pogba, Mourinho needs to go. Some people are like, it's just about Manchester United, they both need to go. So there is no right answer. But what I would say is that the Roy Keane thing was brilliant. When Dan mentioned Schweinsteiger, I mean Schweinsteiger didn't do anything wrong and was training with the kids. It's really weird when we've got, okay, he's the most marketable player in the world. Is he consistently performing week in, week out? Arguably not. Is he correct in what he's saying publicly? Yes. Should he be saying it publicly? No. Does it undermine the manager? Yes. Does that make the fans think that there's an issue in the dressing room? Yes, because there probably is. Who and what the issue is, we're not going to know, thank God. And I'd love to know. I'd love to be a fly on the wall, but we shouldn't know because it's embarrassing towards Manchester United. But we've heard before that it's Pogba, Martial, Bay, and Rashford. Lindelof, Fosu Mensah mentioned there. Where does Lingard feature? Where does Lukaku feature? Because they're both good friends with Pogba. Obviously, I think people like Fellaini, Matic, Phil Jones, they will be on Mourinho's side, Valencia. So is there a divide, or is there a problem, but we all go to work, we're all professional, we're all going to do our job, but I don't like you? You know, that can happen. I've worked in places like that. I've worked in very important places doing very important things with people who don't like each other, and professionalism shines through. Andy Cole and Teddy Sheringham couldn't stand each other. We won a treble with them. So just because people aren't getting on doesn't mean that it's going to necessarily be bad for us on the pitch. But I think at the moment it is. It is. So, look, United lack leadership. They lack leadership on the pitch because Valencia's not a captain. I don't necessarily think Pogba is. We lack leadership from the manager because he's being undermined, and I think he needs to, that should never happen. Whether the player's right or not, that shouldn't happen. And we lack leadership from the top because we've got numerous examples of where the board are going wrong, in my view, none more so than they didn't back the manager in the summer. Wolves backed their manager, Fulham backed their manager, Liverpool backed their manager, and if you don't back a manager, you sack a manager. So the club lacks leadership from top to bottom, and until you sort that out, we can want great football, we can want better players, but until you sort leadership out, you're just a rudderless ship, and that's what United are at the moment. We're a bloody good ship. We're a very good ship with a Queen Elizabeth, whatever. We're a very good ship, but we're not being driven properly. And that good ship can get good results, but a lot of the time it's going to whack into the rocks because we're rudderless, and that's what it comes back to me. So fantastic show, absolutely fantastic show. For those people who've watched it, please do drop a like on the video for all our callers tonight and yourself in the live comments. And I've just looked at the bottom, we're only 30 subscribers short of 276,000, which is a nice round number. So if you haven't subscribed to the United Stand, please do. Bottom right hand corner, little symbol, click it, subscribe, get your notifications on with the bell. For those people who've waited till the end, all I'm going to say is we've got an absolutely cracking couple of videos coming up, a couple of interviews that Flex has done. And suffice to say, the only clue you're going to get with one of them is that I rang him up, and that's why I was late coming on tonight. And I'm sometimes late, but I was late tonight because I said to him, I'm gutted. There's very few people in the world that, one, I want to interview, and two, I'm in awe of. And he has just interviewed somebody who I'm absolutely in awe of. So, and the other clue is it's not a Manchester United player. So there you go. And they might not even be a footballer, but they've got a very strong opinion on Manchester United. So you're all going to be thinking who it is now. But that should be going up tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow lunchtime. Please do drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new. Fantastic show tonight. Absolutely loved it. Modric, I think, has been named the Ballon d'Or winner. I knew that was going to happen. I should have said it at the start of the show. Very pleased for him. Shouldn't have been Salah. Pogba needs to pass the ball faster. He's always taking too many touches. Look at the top teams. No one is holding on to the ball that long on the midfield. It's too easy. The reason he's holding the ball on too long, too easy, is because his options are limited and the players around him are slow. That's why Pogba gets caught in possession. Definitely. Thanks, everybody. Really, really top show. I love the Skype show. It was brilliant tonight. Tomorrow night we've got a match. We've got a match tomorrow, and I'm very excited about it. If you're not excited about Manchester United versus Derby, preview, only about 10 minutes long. I'll guarantee you I'll get you excited. Not as much as something like YouPorn, but I will get you excited about football. Manchester United versus Derby. Preview. Go and watch it. It's on the homepage. Did it at lunchtime. I'll get you excited about that game. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a very important game, and we might lose it because Derby aren't bad. So you want to know all about it? Get onto that. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.